All right, so this video is for the people that maybe are tuning in asynchronously. I think I said that right. We had a brief discussion about the value of this game in my suitcase, and it's a fun game. It's a way to get to know people and a bit of an icebreaker activity, but a lot of the icebreaker activities often have some underlying teaching elements that are really, really important. And so the first thing is, it's a listening game. You need to listen and hear what somebody else is packing in their suitcase. You need to be able to listen. You need to stop talking. You need to listen to what they're saying and put the focus of attention on them. Tied in with that is you're acknowledging what they've added. So by repeating what somebody else has added, it means you've heard them, but you're also acknowledging to them that, oh, okay, you added this item in your suitcase. For this game, is it a big deal? You know, is it not going to be that, you know, is it really that important? Not really. It's kind of a silly game. But if you're writing a composition and somebody says, oh, okay, why don't we try a G major chord there, or a C major chord? And you need to first be able to hear that. Oh, okay, they said G. And you would acknowledge it, be like, oh, okay, that's a G major chord there. Let's try that out. The next thing is it's an add-on game. So we're adding items on, and this is how you create a composition. You start with one idea, and you add more ideas onto it. Creating a composition, obviously, though, is a little more complicated because you can take items away. You can move them around. You can interact those items with each other. In this game, it's a linear game, so you're just adding things on in sequence. You don't go back. You don't change things. So that's why compositions are much more complex to create, because you're creating and then you're destroying elements of it, you're adding on, etc. All right, but this is a good start. This game is a good start. Finally, it's a memory game. It's a memory game, and it's developing your working memory. And so here's a kind of, I'm going to go full nerd here. It's also really helping not just with your memory, but your encoding. And so if you don't want to hear a whole bunch of nerdy brain talk right now, you might want to just skip this part. But for those people that like this kind of stuff, I would watch the rest of the video. Understanding how people learn and how people remember information as a musician is really, really important, because essentially we all kind of have roughly the same tool set. We have only so much working memory. Working memory may be between 4 and 8 items. So you may have noticed, okay, well, wait a second, we were able to add a lot more items than 4 or 8 items. So obviously your working memory is larger. Well, not really. That's where encoding comes in. You have actually found a way to encode that so you remember it longer. You've actually extended your working memory through encoding information. All right, so here's where it gets super nerdy. There are several different ways that you can encode things more quickly. So for example, you may have, in fact, visualized, okay, I see a shoelace, and then I see that shoelace on a dolphin, and on the back of the dolphin is the spirit of Thor. And that will help you to memorize it by visualizing it, and that will tie into your compositions too, as you're trying to remember a piece, or as you're writing. If you think of, okay, G, C, D, if you can visualize those, feel those in sequence on your guitar, it'll help you to remember it, as opposed to just kind of like G, C, D. Yeah, if that kind of makes sense. The other thing that happens as we're going through this is if you create a rich memory by talking about each of these items in your head, kind of asking yourself questions. Okay, so what does a shoelace smell like? You'll never forget that. All right. What does a dolphin song sound like? By making each of those things more rich in your head, it will stick around longer. So it doesn't really matter if you only have 4 items. If you are going for the gold in this game and you get up to like 20 or 30 items, you'll have to encode memories in a much more rich way. Same thing with music. So when you're looking at a piece, if you just think about the chords, you may not have as rich of understanding as if you think about the piece on a deeper level. So for example, what's the strumming pattern? What is the dynamics? Okay, has the composer repeated this before? If so, are they changing it? All those things lead to a richer understanding of the song. Last thing, okay, and I probably should have led with this, the most important thing is repeating. So as you're going through this game, again, we're playing for the gold here. As you're going through this game, your ability to encode is probably most connected to your ability to repeat that. So people will speak and tell you what they're adding into their suitcase, so to speak. And if you take the time to repeat that in your head, okay, shoelace, dolphin, spirithor, more times, you'll be able to remember it more quickly. People tend to speak or think 3 times more quickly than people speak. So maybe even as I'm speaking this, some people may understand things more quickly than I'm able to get the information out. Within that time, you have an opportunity to think and remember this. Again, super nerdy, maybe more information than you wanted, but some people like that extra information.